Chapter 6. Ain Jallet danced through space as she dodged the lead Reaper's shots. The rest of the fleet and New Rannoch's defenses were busy with other Reaper, so she was on her own. "We need a new plan," Rodriguez said. "Because one hit, McKinley, take us to Planet 5, Zara said into the intercom. "Aye, Captain." The fifth planet was called Netta's, which was Quarian for nowhere. It was a gas giant that was mostly hydrogen, but it was useless for helium-3 mining. The colonists had never bothered with it. "It's going to catch us before we get there," Harris said. McKinley jumped the ship into FTL. The Reaper tried to catch them, but the lieutenant anticipated its moves. They reached Netta's and dove into the atmosphere. It had been McKinley who had noticed Netta's hydrogen levels during the planning stage. The Reaper stopped shooting, but Zara knew they couldn't hide in here forever. Sooner or later, Reaper reinforcements would arrive, so they needed a plan C. Shelter Gamma 1. The sound of the Reaper shooting had been terrible, but Shelter Gamma 1 had been buried deep. Aaron figured that even the shallowest part of the shelter was 150 meters under the ground. The adults were all gathered in the command room, which was on the other side of the shelter. While they argued about what was going on, the children had gathered in Aaron and Olaf's room. Counting the two of them, there were only 8. Aaron had expected more, but the school's children had all been sent home. The 6 children felt were from the Axali's city orphanage. Aaron was about to ask Olaf something when the whole shelter shook. Then the lights went out. Anatoly Zhukov cursed. The fleet had just killed its second Reaper. That was the good news. The bad news was that the Reapers had exploded into chunks, which were now raining down all over the place. One of the biggest chunks had crushed the school above Shelter Gamma 1. The Reapers had also done considerable damage to the city with their laser beams. His troops were defending the Museum of History, or what was left of it. "This is just the start, isn't it?" Avar asked. Batarian, Avar was the most rational of the mercenary forces backing them up. Which was why Zhukov had put him in charge of them. The two of them were at the museum entrance, watching for husks. "Yeah," Zhukov began. "The worst is yet to come." The two of them settled in for the wait. Down in the shelter, the emergency lights had come on. Aaron led the way down the corridor, carrying a flashlight they had found in a supply closet. They turned the corner and her stomach dropped. Behind her, somebody threw up. The corridor had collapsed. And the rooms flanking this section were just as bad. They were cut off from the surface and alone. Zhukov's radio crackled to life. "Team 2 to Team 1, Barnaby said over the line. "I hear you," Zhukov said. "Report, Team 2. "Shelter Gamma 1 was hit bad, sir," Barnaby paused. "Looks like most of it has collapsed, Chief." "Crap," Avar said. "The children were down there." "Return to position Alpha, Team 2. "On our way, Team 1, Team 2 out." Zhukov cursed. Ayers wasn't going to like this when she checked in. SSV Ain. Jallet. The Reaper was no longer chasing them, which was bad news. It was ascending out of the atmosphere. Once it cleared it, the Reaper would turn and ignite it with the Ain Jallet inside. "It learned from what we did against the first one," Harris said. "Using our own tactics against us," Rodriguez said. "McKinley," Zara said into the intercom. "Take us deeper." "Captain, you heard me, Lieutenant. Take us down." "Aye, Captain." Ain Jallet dove deeper into the atmosphere. Avenger cleared the atmosphere and turned around. 2 shots, and both the planet and the accursed human frigate would be history. He fired the first shot. The human ship was fleeing deeper into the atmosphere. It wouldn't help them. He fired again, and the planet ignited. But then something unexpected happened. Around them, Ain Jallet creaked as the pressure increased. Zara knew that she was a space vessel, not a submarine, but she also knew that the Reapers hadn't done its homework. Netta's had a small, solid core, surrounded by the massive atmosphere they were now in. When they had built the camouflage system, the Protheans had realized that, when they activated it, the system would also push away Netta's atmosphere. To keep that from happening, they had deployed several shield platforms. And the Quarians had found the codes to that shield, which they had shared with their human allies. As the atmosphere caught fire, Ain Jalet passed the platform and Zara transmitted the codes. The shield activated, which blocked the fire from reaching them. Avenger roared and fired again, but the Protheans had come up with another plan. They had designed the shield to reflect Reaper laser beams, so Avenger ended up shooting himself. 2 of its tentacles were sheared off. As it roared in pain, the human vessel swung around and opened fire at him. The other ships arrived and joined the attack. Avenger returned fire, but it was too late. Gravity grabbed him and dragged him towards the remains of the gas giant. They had hit something crucial, and the Reapers was now caught in the gravity well of the planet. It spiraled down into the atmosphere. Then it stopped shooting. The pressure was crushing it, and it needed all its energy to survive, but it was not enough. It was dead by the time it reached the surface. Zara got the feeling they had reached the eye of the storm, but it was far from over. Chapter 7. Shelter Gamma 1. Erin felt like throwing up. All the adults were dead, and it was just them. She thought back to a conversation with Rick McKinley. They had been in the mess hall when she had asked how he managed to keep from panicking. "Because there are people counting on me," Rick had said. "Trust me, I'd love to panic. But there are people counting on me, and people will get hurt. I joined the Navy to keep people from getting hurt." She took a deep breath and turned away from the collapsed piece of the shelter. "What do we do now?" Olaf asked. "Remember what Rick said about panicking?" Olaf nodded. He had been there when Rick had answered Erin's question. "We need to get out of here," Olaf said. "But how?" "Let's see about supplies first," Erin said. Olaf nodded and led the way back to their room. Omega. Vengeance. The ship had been Ilium-cheesed, so were 3 of the others, and they had lost dozens of people aboard the Omega Vengeance alone. Kaimas and Aram had already decided they needed to evacuate the ships when Ayers asked for a status update. "Do it," Ayers said over the channel. "I recommend you send your people to the Ghost Dreadnoughts. They have the biggest sickbays, and they could use your experience." "Will do. Omega Vengeance out." He closed the channel. They made sure that everybody else was clear. Aram led the group headed for Dreadnought 2, while Kaimas took charge of the Dreadnought 1 survivors. By the time Kaimas reached the Quarian CIC, the wounded were already in sickbay, and his people were already helping the Dreadnought crew. The Dreadnought's captain was called Romer III. He was in his 50s with eyes that revealed a sharp tactical mind. "Welcome aboard, Captain," Romer said. "Thank you," Kaimas began. "Now, what can I do?" "I have 2 weapons officers on the verge of panic." He pointed to a set of consoles where 2 junior officers were arguing. "It's their first tour and somebody needs to keep them in check. My people have better things to do. No offense." "None taken. I'll take care of it." Kaimas turned to the officers and began giving orders. SSV Ain. Jalet. They had left Netta's and repairs were underway. Zara had left Rodriguez in charge so that she could go check on the true cost. She entered sickbay to find Dr. Tilos giving orders. "How bad is it, doctor?" she asked. "We got lucky, Captain," Tilos began. "We have plenty of wounded, but no dead, ma'am." "Good. What can I do to help?" The Asari handed her a medical kit and pointed to one of the crew members on a nearby bed. "See what you can do about Hendrik's wounds." Zara nodded and got to work. Up in sick, Rodriguez was overseeing repairs. The 4 pirate ships were being placed in orbits, rigged to explode at the push of a button. As soon as they were in place, the 7 survivors would retreat to New Rannoch to lick their wounds. It was Harris who said what he had been thinking. "We're going to have to send a scout." "Yes," Rodriguez said. "Speaking of scouts, do we have an update on when the Quarian units get here?" Harris checked the communication system and his eyebrows went up. "All 12 have reached the rendezvous point outside the nebula." "They should be here in 6.5 hours, Commander." "Good. We can use the firepower." Rodriguez opened a file the Quarians had sent them. The scouts only had a crew of 2, but they had 5 times the firepower of a UT-47 shuttles. Having 12 of them would increase their chances of surviving. Outside of the Epsilon Nebula, the Reaper War raged. But one of the Reapers that was called Ravager noticed a hole in the chaos and fire. Avenger should have reported in by now, shared news of Omega's destruction. Instead, there was only silence. Ravager searched the records for Avenger's last location. It was nowhere near Omega. He sent out orders, and soon he was joined by 11 other Reapers and 6 troop transports. Then they headed out. They would find Avenger and his forces, and Omega would be crushed. As would anything or anybody else they found. Escape pod. 1. The escape pod had finally cleared the mined asteroid belt. Farka leaned back and sighed. The passage had been exhausting. Now the pod was traveling into a solar system that was not on any star chart. Well, this is new, she said. Okay, Tyla, time to call for help. She activated the pod's emergency beacon. Of course, there was the risk of Reapers showing up, but she couldn't stay out here forever. Please don't be a Reaper, Farka said, while biting her lower lip. A beep indicated that something was approaching. Now all she could do was wait and hope that when it arrived, it wouldn't vaporize her.